Adolf Hitler is out of prison. But this period when Adolf Hitler is out of prison, it was a period of prosperity in Germany. So this was the period of 1924 to 1929. So during this time, the Weimar Republic was still in power, and it gained popularity under Gustav Stresemann. So Gustav Stresemann, he became the leader now of the Weimar Republic. We talked about this Gustav Stresemann. This is now the second time we are mentioning about Gustav Stresemann, and you know what he did. So when he took power, he did a number of things. He took a number of measures to deal with the economic crisis in Germany. Remember, we talked about all of these things or the actions that Gustav Stresemann did. So just to remind you on what we did, number one, he called off the strike in Ruhr. You cannot forget Ruhr. Ruhr, the economic region. So he called off the strike, whereby the German workers, they went on strike after the French and the Belgians, they took over that one in 1923. So in 1924, he took over, when Gustav Stresemann took over, he ordered the people not to go on strike. And also he abandoned the printing of worthless money, that one, the Deutschmark. He stopped printing that one. And he also introduced the new currency by the name, the Rentenmark, which replaced the Deutschmark, the old one. And also through the loans from America, under the Dawes Plan, Germany started to recover from the hyperinflation. Remember, we talked about this. We also talked about the hyperinflation, whereby the buying power of money was not there. People needed a lot of money to buy few things. So people had jobs, food, and other necessities. So during this period of Gustav Stresemann, Germany came back to its feet economically because of the measures that he took or he put in place for Germany's prosperity. But you have to remember that we are looking at the rise of Adolf Hitler, how Adolf Hitler came to power. This time around, the government that was in place, the Weimar Republic, was gaining power, was gaining popularity. But the Nazi program, remember the 25 programs of the Nazi party announced by Adolf Hitler? So the Nazi program was no longer attractive to most Germans. Why? Because now people have what they needed. They needed prosperity. Now prosperity is appearing in Germany. So what more? Should they struggle again for things that are already there? No. So people were relaxed. And the Nazi program was no longer attractive to the Germans. So during the 1920s, Hitler then, he took a number of steps. He took a number of steps so that his party, the Nazi party, should to be recognized. So what he did, he was putting in place a number of activities so that even his position as a leader should be strengthened. So he put in place a number of activities. Number one, to make the Nazi party popular and to make him again a strong leader. So what did he do? Number one, he adopted the swastika. We have just seen the swastika, the symbol. So that white, in a white circle on a red background, that one as a symbol of its party, of the party or the Nazi, the swastika. Number two, the party adopted its own shirts as the uniform and raised the arm salute, the forward salute. If you saw the two pictures, if you can retract back and see back where we are looking at, Adolf Hitler is with the Stalin there, or with Mussolini. There you see that Mussolini is raising the forward salute. That one is the salute of the Nazi, was the salute of the Nazi, of raising the arm forward. And again, he also increased the recruitment of the SA. So remember, the Freikorps. the stormtroopers, so the ex-servicemen. So he employed more, he recruited more of them into his party. And also he set up the schools. This one was called the schools staffer, which was the SS. And this one, it acted as the personal bodyguards. So he had a special group of the bodyguards by 1925, and these ones were called the schools staffer. And also he introduced the party's branches such as the Hitler's Youth, the Women's League, and the Nazi students. See, so Hitler Youth in different areas, in different branches, they were Hitler Youths, and the Women League and the Nazi students in schools and universities there. So there, those were the activities that Adolf Hitler did in order to make his party popular. Although the people were flourishing in prosperity during the time of Gustav Stresemann, who was the leader of the Weimar Republic. So on the other hand, we are saying Adolf Hitler strengthened his party. So in the branches that we have just talked about, or the youth, Hitler Youths, the Nazi students, or the Women League, they were given a Nazi official who was leading them or looking after them or as their patron, and this one was called the Golita. The Golita was there as the leader of or the patron of the branches in the Hitler Youths, Women League, and the Nazi students. And also he appointed Joseph Goebbels to organize and direct propaganda activities. So all the activities of propaganda were now under Joseph Goebbels, that is, of the Nazi Party. So during the period from 1930, the Nazi popularity now increased. You see now, we have said that prosperity in Germany was there between 1924 to 1929. Things were on well. But remember, in 1929, you can see there, you can also suggest or you can remember the reason why things did not start to go well there. The one reason you can remember, or I should remind you, is of the Great Depression that started in USA, and it also affected Germany directly. Remember, the Dawes Plan was from USA, the Young Plan from USA. So if the USA was affected, it meant that it also affected Germany directly. So during this period, from 1930, the Nazi now started to gain popularity. So what the Nazi did was that it put in place a number of strategies to gain mass support. You know, sometimes we gain support when someone is falling, see? You take advantage when someone is facing the problem. Sometimes it works like that. You see what happens here. The Chinese, they are solving our problems. We are in problems, entire problems of clothing and many other items. But look at who is solving those problems for us. We are not doing it. Most of them, they are solved by the Chinese. But is it done just on a silver platter? No, we pay for our own problems. We have a problem, but we have to pay for the solutions. So here we see to it that the Nazi took advantage of the problems that were there. So what were the strategies that Adolf Hitler put in place while the Weimar Republic was struggling? So number one was Hitler's efficient communication. It played a role there. We have just said that Adolf Hitler was a natural orator. He was a public speaker. When he speaks, everyone was just convinced to say, yes, this is a point. This is a point. Point after point like that. So again, he used an aeroplane to reach different parts of the country for mass rallies. So he was organizing mass rallies in different parts of the country, and he was using the aeroplane to fly quickly into all the parts of the country. And also the SA paraded the streets. The SA, they were parading the streets, marching on the streets and beating up the opponents and disrupting their rallies, the rallies of the opponents. So those were the strategies that Adolf Hitler put in place so that the Nazi should gain popularity. Remember, we said that he increased the number of the SA, the stormtroopers, the ex-servicemen, the ex-soldiers. So with that then, he was using them to go into the streets and make some disorganization there, disrupt the opponents' rallies and beating up all the opponents there when they were in the streets. And also another strategy was that the Nazi adopted the terror tactics, e.g. We are talking of the street fights and the beer hall battles. So they were causing a lot of terror so that the government should be seen as a failure, to say the government is failing to establish peace, while it was the tactic of the Nazi. They were going into the beer halls and starting the fights there. So they were just maybe going into different beer halls. So disrupting the town with those fights, so that the government, on the other hand, should be seen as a failure. It fails to establish peace. People are just beating each other anyhow. But it was the organization of the Nazi party. And also, another tactic was that he raised the arm salute and marching songs. His raised arm salute, it was a strange one, a forward salute, your arm raising to the forward side. That one, it was somehow attracting people, and they organized the marching songs in the streets. So those things, they attracted many people or fanatics. Another tactic was that the Nazi held carefully organized political rallies that attracted the masses. So when they said there was to be a rally for the Nazi, that rally was carefully organized. It was carefully organized, the seating of the people, it was arranged in such a way that it was so attractive. So with that then, the people were being attracted to say, yes, here is a party that is so organized. Look at how they do their things. And another tactic was that the party was well organized so that new members joined. So the party was open. It was open to new members. So with that, everyone was able to join the party, was welcome to join the party. And another tactic was also the effective use of propaganda, e.g. posters. They were using the posters everywhere. The newspapers, they were also spreading the Nazi ideas. When we say a propaganda, it is a twisted truth that only talks maybe good about something, to say, oh, the presence of something. That is what we call a twisted truth or a propaganda. Only to mention about the good things, the beautiful things about something. That one is a propaganda. So the Nazi also, they used their propaganda effectively through the posters, painting the posters, producing the posters as if Adolf Hitler is a good leader, and also the Nazi party is the only party that has got the solutions to the Germany's problem. So that was the effective use of the propaganda. And in 1929, the collapse of the Wall Street, we are talking of the Great Depression, that one caused the world economic crisis. We have just mentioned that one to say the 1929 Great Depression that started in America, that one affected the world also economically. So the USA, on the other hand, the USA stopped giving the loans to Germany. Remember, Germany was relying on the loans through the Dawes Plan and also the Young Plan to revive or to revamp their economy and boost their military. So things did not go well. So as a result, USA also asked back their money from Germany. See, so with that, then things did not work, so, because the German industries and the businesses, they were closed, simply because they were at that stage where they needed more money to establish or to be more stable. So factories and businesses in Germany, they went bankrupt. We already pointed out this bankrupt to say, when we say bankrupt, we mean someone failing to manage the economy of the house or maybe the company of the institution that is to be bankrupt. So companies and the businesses in Germany, they failed to manage their economies and hence they were bankrupt. And workers were laid off. There were retrenchment of workers. Workers were put off to say, we no longer need workers in this company, so they were put off. And farmers again, they suffered due to poor prices of agricultural product. So farming also did not produce anything, any tangible results. And people in Germany hoped that only a strong authoritarian government could provide a solution to the socio-economic problems in Germany. So with what started in 1929 here, that one, people now thought of the Kaiser, to say only the Kaiser. If the Kaiser was here, things were to be okay. But then, that one, it gave them a solution to say, all right, maybe it's only Hitler who can save us from this problem or economic problem, because they saw authoritarian leadership in Adolf Hitler. So the people now, they began to invest their hope in Adolf Hitler to say, maybe he can be our good leader to save us from the economic problems. So the Nazi and the Communist Party, they gained popularity in around 1930s. So in the 1930s, the Communist Party and the Nazi, on the other hand, they were gaining popularity, while the Weimar Republic and the Social Democratic Party, they were going down. So in 1930, the Nazi became the second largest party in the Reichstag, that is in the parliament. So it had 107 seats. So it was the second largest party. In 1932, it became the largest party. The Nazi party now became the largest party with it had 230 seats. So you can see there, the popularity there of the Nazi party was growing now and again. So Hitler stood for presidency and became second to Field Marshal Hindenburg. So there we are seeing that in the elections, 1932, then Adolf Hitler, he contested as a president, but he lost to Hindenburg. So in 1931, Germany was in financial crisis, and Allied governments put 1 year break in reparation. So because of that, the continued effects of the Great Depression, Germany was greatly affected. So in 1931, the Allies, they said, no, Germany, you need not to pay the reparations. At least they need to be a break for that. And in 1932, the Chancellor was Heinrich Brüning. So himself, he demanded complete cancellation of the reparations. So as the Chancellor, Heinrich Brüning, he begged or he demanded the Allied forces, Britain and France and others, to say, please, we want the total or the complete cancellation of the reparations. And also the situation there was really worse, whereby unemployment kept on rising, and Brüning's government collapsed. It collapsed again. Remember, we also pointed out that from 1921 to 1933, about 21 governments, they failed, they collapsed. So reason basically was the failure to manage the economy because of the economic crisis or economic problems in Germany. So Marshal Hindenburg then appointed Francis von Papen as the chancellor after Brüning fell, or his government fell. So the next chancellor after Brüning was von Papen. But still, himself, von Papen, he did not have the support of the Reichstag. Remember, we pointed out that if the chancellor did not have the support majority in the Reichstag, that is the parliament, that chancellor was not staying long. Then he was easily impeached or removed. So we see here von Papen again faced a problem whereby he was appointed by Hindenburg, the president, to be the chancellor, but he did not have the support of the parliament, the Reichstag. Then Hindenburg called for elections in 1932, where the Nazi party got 196 seats. Then Hitler demanded to be made the chancellor, but Hindenburg knew Hitler to say he was an authoritarian, so he refused. Hindenburg refused to make Hitler the chancellor. So in December 1932, von Papen was dropped as the chancellor, and General von Schleicher, this one was appointed to be the new chancellor. So you can see here, Brüning, von Papen, then here we see from von Papen there is Schleicher as another chancellor. So you can see how the government there was changing. Mind you, the chancellor, we said that he was the head of the government, while the president was the head of the republic there. So he too, again, he lacked the support of the Reichstag. He had no support of the parliament. We are talking of Schleicher here. He did not have the support, and he was also dismissed. It means his government also failed. Then Hindenburg had no choice there but to appoint Adolf Hitler as the chancellor. So we see here now Adolf Hitler, he has now become the leader of the government of Germany by 1933 on 30th January 1933. So that's when Adolf Hitler now became the chancellor. So you know who is Adolf Hitler? You know how he went, how he traveled. He did not go to school, he failed, but this day he is becoming the chancellor of Germany. So it happens, destiny. Then Hitler had the support. This new chancellor by the name Adolf Hitler, now he had the support of the parliament, the Reichstag, and his party was so popular among the Germans. So you can see there, you cannot have maybe the credentials, the certificate to make you maybe a leader, to make you maybe what people can approve. But if you have the support of relevant people, you have the popularity, then you get it right, as Adolf Hitler did. Now, let's look at the reparation question. So there was the disarmament conference between 1932 and 1933. So there it was settled that Britain and France would still pay their war debts to USA. And these war debts were to be tried to Germany or to be transferred to Germany reparations. So Britain and France themselves, they protested. They protested there at the disarmament conference there. So in July 1932, there was also a revision on the German reparations. So this one, it was at Lausanne conference. So again, the young plan was officially annulled. It was nullified, and Germany was making a final single installment of 3 billion marks. So it was annulled, the young plan, you know the terms of the young plan there. So in 1932 there, we see Germany paying the final reparation of 3 billion marks. So as soon as Hitler became the chancellor, he cancelled all German payments in 1933. So there, while the conference, at the conference, they agreed there, they agreed to say, all right, Germany has to make the final payment. Then when Adolf Hitler came to power, he cancelled to say, Germany is no longer paying anything to anyone. You see there, when Adolf Hitler came to power, he announced the cancellation of the reparations. Right, so now we have seen how Adolf Hitler got the Nazi party into power. This time around, now we are talking that Adolf Hitler is now the Chancellor of Germany, 1933. By January, he was the Chancellor. Now let's look at the factors. What factors contributed to the popularity of the Nazi party? What made the Nazi party to be popular? So we are going to look at the Nazi party as well as the this Chancellor Adolf Hitler. So it is a wonderful thing now to look at what made them to be popular. So there were a number of factors that made Hitler and the Nazi party to be popular. First, it was his personal qualities and beliefs. So we have pointed out that Adolf Hitler was a skillful speaker and he could appeal to the emotions and not reason of his audience. When Adolf Hitler speaks, he was appealing to the emotions of the people to say, oh yes, ah yes, this is really true, this is really true. Yes, like that, not reason. People were not deriving maybe reasoning from his speeches, but just the emotions. He was touching their spirits. So with that, we say he was a good speaker, a skillful speaker. And in his speeches, he was condemning those who signed the armistice. Remember, the armistice, the ceasefire of, or that marked the end of the First World War. So he condemned them and he called them November criminals. Why November? You can remember that they signed the armistice on that day, that is the 9th November. So with that, they are called November criminals because they signed the ceasefire, which was not good for Germany. So in his messages or whatever he was speaking, uh, everything that he was speaking can just be summarized to say that he was saying to the Germans that Germany had not been defeated but betrayed by the Republicans. Remember, we are talking of the Weimar Republic here. So Adolf Hitler was saying, no, Germany has not been defeated but has just been betrayed by the Republicans. And also in his speeches, he was talking of restoration of Germany, glorious days, to say the times of the Kaiser will be back when the Nazi, or as the Nazi is in power, the glorious days are coming back. And again, he was also saying that for the need for the nation to be purified from inferior races like the Jews. So here he was advocating to say we have to purify this German nation from the Jews because the Jews, they are the inferior. We need to have the pure-blooded Germans. And also solution to the economic problems Germany is facing. So you're saying the Nazi party has the solution to whatever the problem or economic problem Germany was facing. And also he told the people to say they were to do away with the reparations, because he took to it that the reparations were the ones that crippled the economy of Germany. So he said, we are going to do away with the reparations. We are not going to pay the reparations anymore. So that was the summary of his message. But what about his beliefs? What were the beliefs? Also, the beliefs of Adolf Hitler can also be summarized to say, in deep down his heart, he believed that he believed in racism, to say the Aryan race were the superior race, to say this Aryan race, it was the pure German race. So he believed that Germany was for the Aryan race, and all others were just there maybe to steal away the wealth of Germany. So he wanted to do away with them. So he believed in racism. So more especially the Jews. Uh, he believed that the Jews were the worst race, and Germany needed to purify the Jews. All the non-Aryan races, they need to be out of Germany. So in short, Germany needed the Lebensraum, which is the living space. They need to create a space. They need a space for the Germans alone. So we see there, Adolf Hitler believed in racism. And also he believed in nationalism. He believed in nationalism, to say Germany had to return to its former greatness. That is the era of Bismarck, to say to him, to Adolf Hitler, his role model was Bismarck. With Bismarck, you can remember, he was also a very ambitious person. Remember his first action, he united all the 39 states and made one German state. He achieved that one. So with that, he acted as a role model to Adolf Hitler. So he believed in nationalism, that is to say, Germany had to be great again. And on that one, on leadership, he believed that a leader's decision must be unquestionable. So that's what would make Germany great. And also he believed in the struggle, to say that life was a struggle and only the strongest would survive. So he believed in that people have to struggle, and life is a struggle. If you want to do well in life, you have to struggle, and only the strong are going to survive. That was according to Adolf Hitler, because he believed in nationalism to make Germany great. So to make Germany great, he said a leader's decision unquestionable, and people have to struggle to attain that greatness. Right? Remember, we are looking at the factors that made Adolf Hitler popular and the Nazi Party popular. So we have looked at the personal qualities of Adolf Hitler. But number two was the support from the industries or industrialists. So Hitler's hatred, his hatred of communism, that one attracted industrialists, business people, those people who owned the properties, the property owners, those people, the landlords. They supported Adolf Hitler to say, yes, this gentleman has got the ideas that are going to save our property. Because communism was advocating that all wealth, no private ownership of property. So with that, then it was a threat to the industrialists who owned the businesses, the landlords, to say we are going to lose the land. So they supported Adolf Hitler. And they supported him by giving him the financial aid. So they supported the Nazi Party with the financial aid. And the third factor for the popularity of Nazi and Adolf Hitler was the Catholic Church. So the church was behind the Nazi Party. Why? Because of the same communist threats. Why did the church hate communism? It was because communism, we talked about it, that they hated religion. Communism hated religion. we talked about it when we were looking at communist revolution in Russia. We said that they banned all the churches. They did not like the Muslims, they did not like the Christians, all those who were going to church were being punished. That is in Russia. So the Catholic Church in Germany, it did not like the spread of that communism, those ideas of disliking religion. So the church also offered moral support to the Nazi party to say, we are behind you. We are behind you, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi party. So even after the 1932 elections, what happened was that the Catholic Center Party, it worked with the Nazi party after the 1932 elections. Another factor for the popularity of the Nazi and the German party, or for the Nazi and the Hitler, it was the impact of the reparations. So remember, what Adolf Hitler was doing in his speeches was that he manipulated the economic situation there to his own or to the advantage of the Nazi party. So they promised to undo with the reparations once the Nazi had that support. So with that then, they won the majority, they won the support of the middle class to say, yes, we are working only to pay the reparations. So the Nazi promised to say, we are going to do away with the reparations. So he manipulated everything to their own advantage, because it was a true situation in Germany whereby this reparation, we have been talking about it to say it crippled the economy of Germany. So the people could even feel it that we are here in dire poverty because partly because of the reparations. So the Nazi party and Adolf Hitler manipulated that situation to their own advantage, and they promised the people to say, we are going, once the Nazi is in power, we are going to stop paying the reparations to the Aryans. And the other factor was high unemployment, the high unemployment rate. So remember, we talked of the Great Depression. So this Great Depression, it resulted into the widespread of unemployment in Germany. So by 1932, unemployment rate, it went up to 6 million. You can imagine. This time around, we have about 18 million people in Malawi. So out of 18, just imagine that 6 million people not having that employment is a lot. It's a big one. Although in Malawi, maybe it's also beyond that. It's beyond that because we are living in dire poverty. So maybe it's that. But in Germany, it was really big there. It had really big effects to have 6 million unemployed people. So here we are saying, like in Malawi, we have the graduates, we have the people who have gone to different technical colleges. So you can imagine if there are 6 million people, they have gone to college and they don't have work. That one can be pathetic. So currently in Malawi, our situation is not like that. We are not. We don't have 6 million or 6 million people or graduates who are just out there without work. But there are many. But to our standards, still more high. There is that unemployment or a bit high unemployment rate. And Hitler and the Nazi, they offered hope to millions of jobless Germans. See, they offered hope to the jobless Germans to say, once we come to power, we are going to give them jobs. So they promised jobs if Nazi come to power.
Simutaya nthawi yanu kufunafuna maphunziro muzakhala wotumidwa moyo wanu wonse. Ngati simuphunzira anthu azingokutumani ajala kalime ajala kuchwe manyazi ajala katende yanti ndipo anthu ophunzira wandu wotuma so kwambiri. Ndiye ngati simuphunzira skulu akuyikirani aba mukhala otumidwa.